everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. We're so happy to be here with you. I'm Jen, here with my co-host Kari, and today we are talking about kids' immune dysregulation. It's an important topic because one is we get lots of questions on this topic. Obviously we want our kids to be as healthy as possible, and there's so many ideas about how to keep our kids healthy.
Yeah.
And so we just wanted to talk just a little bit today about why kids' health is struggling, in modern day science. You would think with the amount of information that we have that our kids should really be the healthiest. And unfortunately, they're not.
Wow.
We have epidemic rates of asthma and allergies, babies with eczema, toddlers with reoccurring ear infections. A lot of these kids with asthma and allergies are on allergy meds, inhalers. You see anaphylactic allergies that are off the charts now. When
Yeah.
when I was growing up, you rarely saw a kid with an EpiPen.
Right.
Rarely. I mean, right, Carrie? Like
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for
it
sure.
was far and few between. Now everybody, it seems, has a nut allergy or some sort of allergy that needs an
Yeah.
EpiPen. So unfortunately, it's been common. It's become very common, but it's not normal. We think it's normal, right? It's not. So we just want to talk about um, some of those maybe ideas about why kids' immune system health has been hijacked. Um, and we want to like dig a little bit deeper, right, into the immune system, how it works, and what's happening, from a mainstream medicine. So what does mainstream says? Mainstream says, okay, let's, have a really aggressive vaccine schedule, right? So I don't know what the schedule is. I want to say it's upwards of maybe 75 vaccines
Yeah.
as they hit 18, right? Um, and so, that idea is let's create artificial antibodies, right? We give a vaccine, and in order for that vaccine to really get a response from the immune system, they need to insert something called adjuvants, which is the aluminum, or thimerosal, which is the mercury based, which a lot of them say they're not in there, but you still have to read the packaging. So yeah, we just wanted to dive deep into that today. And I kind of want to start with the germ theory, which I know seems odd, but it's really important. So back in the day, there was differing opinions. So obviously the germ theory won, right? We assume that there's a bug, the bug attacks us, and we have to kill the bug. Okay. That was Dr. Louis Pasteur, right? He was a scientist. They were considered, modern day scientists, of course. But there was also a differing opinion on the germ theory. And if you haven't heard this, the other kind of prominent uh, scientist,
Thought. Yeah.
thought leader, right,
Yeah.
was Dr. Antoine Béchamp. And he actually disagreed with Louis Pasteur and said, no, 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 Louis, you got it all wrong. He said, listen, it's the terrain, it's the organism, it's the health of the organism, right? It's kind of like the chicken before the egg sort of thing.
Yeah.
So he really thought that if the terrain was healthy, right, the bugs wouldn't show up. That bugs only show up when the terrain is not healthy. And Louis Pasteur said, no, we just have to fight these bugs. Obviously, Louis Pasteur's idea won out, right? Because everything's about the germ theory.
Yeah.
Um, but, it was said that Béchamp was actually kind of the brilliant thinker, and Pasteur just had the political connections. And so his ideas sort of won out, obviously, because, mainstream medical historians kind of relegated Béchamp's ideas, right? Not as attractive. So I want to just kind of talk about, something that's super important that we focus on, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, and that is the terrain. So getting the terrain right. Okay. So First thing about the terrain is, simple things that we always talk about: minerals, blood sugar, getting natural light. Those are all super important. Good sleep, staying on the natural rhythm of day and night time. Those are all keeping the terrain sort of healthy. Okay. So the germ theory says that no matter if you keep the terrain healthy, the bugs will always show up. That's not true, because think about when you get sick. When do you get sick? You're not eating well, you're run down, right? You're stressed. And so that's usually when we really get sick.
And
Um,
also a lot of, obviously that happens in the winter. We kind of think about like cold and flu season, but we're getting a lot less light. But we actually, I think we did an episode last year about how melatonin almost takes over for vitamin D if you're really still getting the circadian rhythm, getting those things in every day. It should take over. It's not, but a lot of people don't do those circadian rhythm type things. And so their vitamin D goes down and they don't have that shift in melatonin. So they don't have those benefits to keeping their immune
right.
system
Right.
up.
Melatonin is a really powerful antioxidant, the most powerful antioxidant. And production does go down as we age, of course. But you can embrace sort of what's happening in the winter. Darkness, obviously, we have more darkness. And so, darkness is, melatonin is precipitated in darkness. That's how our bodies, if we're asleep in a really dark room, prepare for sleep after dark by wearing our glasses, our body is prepared to start decreasing the cortisol and increasing melatonin. But anyway, I wanted to mention the terrain versus germ theory because that's not something that a lot of people have heard about. And we really, focus, I would say, as a society on the germ theory, where the terrain theory says really the host is the problem. If you make the host healthy, the bugs do not show up. The bugs are really kind of a process of cleaning up, right? Cleaning up dead tissue, necrotic tissue that has died. And so it shouldn't be there if the cells are healthy and working the way that they should. So the what we consider kind of the early hijacking of the immune system, especially with these little ones, is that the immune system is designed to learn and mature gradually, right? Like having an early infection, like within the first year, having a fever decreases your chances of getting like an autoimmune or type 1 diabetes specifically, like drastically. So, right, the immune system has to learn how to respond. So, as soon as the little ones get a fever, everybody wants to get rid of the fever instead of allowing the body to do its job to work the fever, right? The fever's happening for a reason. And literally that's how the immune system develops. And so very early in life, when we are giving the vaccines, because the vaccines create there's toxins in there, right? And it's targeting certain antibodies only. And that's something called pathological priming. It's priming antibodies to that one strain or to that one. And that can throw off the immune system because now the body can't respond to other things that, say, if the strain is mutated. And I'm specifically thinking about the flu, right? We have a flu strain that we think that's going to be dominant this year. And you get the flu vaccine and you are primed now to respond solely to that strain mostly. You don't have kind of the whole army like you used to have, right? Because you're primed from that one. In fact, this was a study done. It was a review of 51 studies. It involved 260,000 children. It was, this is over 17 different papers, and it said no evidence that injecting children 6 to 23 months of age with flu shots is any more effective than the placebo. In fact, there's more studies. This was a little bit smaller, but it was 260 kids confirmed they were ages 6 months to 18 years. And they said kids without asthma who had received a flu vaccine were 3 times more likely to increase the risk of hospitalization compared to children who did not receive the vaccine.
Wow.
So those are pretty strong evidence to the latter. that we have to, one, let the immune system, work like it should. And not set the kids up early for that immune dysregulation. Okay. So there's been very strong links to increases in asthma, allergies, with kids, that do receive multiple vaccinations because we're throwing off the balance of the immune system, right?
Yeah.
You're decreasing the innate system, increasing the adaptive system, which throws off that teeter-totter. That is a teeter-totter. Also, the vaccines, which we don't talk about, bypasses the natural mucosal immunity, right? We're injecting something straight into their bloodstream. That doesn't happen in real life, right?
Yeah.
Like
Right.
the bugs either need to get in through the nose, through the mouth, through some other orifice that has a mucosal lining. And that's our body's first line of defense. The skin, the respiratory, the gut lining. We do not have that when we're ingesting straight into the bloodstream, right? So not only are you injecting right into the system, which doesn't happen naturally, but you're also introducing those toxic adjuvants, which stimulates the response, okay? And this leads to that teeter-totter of the immune system being out of balance, right? So you have that allergic reaction, which is the adaptive system, inflammation, allergies, hyperreactivity that goes up significantly versus the other side, which is the innate system. This is our initial response to the immune system, right? The movement of the white blood cells, the chemotaxis, the engulfing of the bugs. It's not just one shot too. It's the aggressive schedule of things over time that really, impairs the developing immune system and doesn't give it a chance to respond appropriately. So anyway, I think, so what does this mean for parents, right? And this is not, this really isn't about, fear or like creating fear around vaccines. Vaccines could be a good choice for your family. This is, there's no judgment here. We just want to open the conversation about what this means for parents, right? The aggressive vaccine schedule. So, if the child is already showing signs of like allergies, eczema, chronic congestion or inflammation, asthma, behavioral issues. Behavioral issues can be related to the neural inflammation that is related to those adjuvants, right? I've seen pictures of kids where it looks like they've had a stroke. Literally one side of their face is drooping, which, kids don't normally get a stroke, but that sort of neurological insult is usually caused by a vaccine.
Yeah.
Or can be, not, I don't want to say that it's always caused, but it can be. And those are really early signs, the asthma, the allergies, that there's immune dysregulation. So what do we do? Kari, do you want to sort of talk about what we can do to support the immune system resilience? One, maybe if you want to talk about if they've had the full vaccine schedule and they're observing some of these things, what we can do, and then I can talk about more what I did with my kids.
Yeah, sure. I was just thinking about how every child is so different. I just think about this as us as women and how much the state that we're in really reflects on and the type of birth and if they're breastfed and all these things really play into it. It's just there's so many different scenarios. And so these are just things we want you to consider because, if a mom is very mineral depleted and then, the baby is also mineral depleted and it just opens up the door for these things to be a lot, just, I guess, cause more havoc. So minerals is a huge part in this as far as how your body responds in general to, foreign invaders. I know that's what we're kind of talking about, but just how your organs and your cells function in general. Minerals are the spark plug. So it would just make sense why that's such a first step in this conversation, no matter what. I feel like as a society, we're just very depleted for various reasons. And then of course you throw in just not even vaccines, but just chemicals in general that we're inundated with all the time. It's just kind of a recipe for our body to just be off in these different ways. So minerals really are a great defense to help your body not hold on to these chemicals and metals and things, and to function better. So that's definitely one of the first places that we always start with adults, and the same thing would go for kids. And of course, minerals and vitamins come from our food, and definitely that's the foundation. But if your digestion's off, then that's going to throw off how you absorb the things that you eat too. So supplementing with some mineral rich, whether it be like a liquid or powder or whatnot, might be a really great place to start. And that definitely affects the next thing that I was going to mention, which was just your drainage system, your body's natural detox systems. Of course, it would make sense to kind of focus on that, to make sure that the things that are coming in are really able to get out if they're meant to. So that's one thing that we see a lot. It is even in kids, is that their drainage systems aren't really working properly, whether it's the bowels or the liver or lymphatic system. It's definitely an issue that can be exacerbated if you throw on top of that some vaccines. So those are kind of two places that I would definitely start.
Yeah, and then just core nutrients. One of the number one or two deficiencies that we see the most are vitamin A and vitamin C. Vitamin A by far, we just don't eat the foods that are high in vitamin A. So grass-fed butter, eggs, the yolks. So chickens that have been free range and have, foraged. Roe, beef liver, those are some of the key foods that we don't eat a lot of anymore. Vitamin A is key for building and supporting those mucous membranes. Those are our first line of defense. So it's absolutely a must. I would say beef liver supplementation for most people is
Yeah.
needed, whether adult or child, as well as vitamin C. I can't tell you, probably every case we see is deficient in vitamin C.
Yeah.
It's just because we use it so quickly. Vitamin C is anti-infective. It's the number one. And I'm talking about whole food vitamin
Yeah,
C.
I was about to say, we're not talking about
No,
ascorbic
ascorbic
acid.
acid. Most of the stuff that you're getting on the market is a synthetic. If it's over 200 milligrams, I would say even over 150 milligrams of ascorbic acid, it's a synthetic. Does that have its place? Absolutely. It works by changing the pH. That's a little bit different. We're talking about true vitamin C from food. So things like, kiwis, strawberries, persimmons, red peppers, those things
Oranges,
that are
citrus.
oranges, right? Any citrus, obviously,
Mhm.
are high in vitamin C. I have a camu powder that I like and put into
Yeah.
smoothies that we love, or Cataplex C is a great whole food source too. Those are two nutrients I would say for kids that would be key to increase, especially for little kids. I know I buy the ancestral. Our local farm here has an ancestral mix with heart and beef liver, and the ground beef, you can't even taste it in there. If you can't get it like that, you can easily grade some beef liver into ground beef, whether you're making tacos, spaghetti sauce, meatloaf, whatever. 4 ounces a week is a good place to start. So yeah, that's just a simple way to add. And if you don't like that, you can supplement definitely with beef liver. So I would say the minerals, vitamin C, vitamin A, are great places to, and then drainage, as Kari mentioned. If you do have things like allergies, asthma, chronic congestion, inflammation, behavioral issues, now you might need to do a little dig deeper if you have that deep of neuroinflammation, but it's definitely a good start, because minerals are key for letting go of those heavy metals. So the body will hold on to the heavy metals if it doesn't have sufficient minerals. Remember, we talked about the adjuvants, those are usually heavy metals like aluminum and mercury. So, stacking the body with those minerals is super helpful. If you decided not to vaccinate or you have reduced the schedule, obviously those same things apply. Minerals, vitamin A, vitamin C, decreasing sugar. I can't tell you how much sugar I see kids eating, and it's usually taking the place of protein in a meal. So for breakfast, they're eating cereal, waffle, or pancakes. So you can replace that with, I mean, I've fed my kids chicken nuggets in the morning, right? For breakfast. I've fed them chicken soup, in the winter for breakfast. So it doesn't have to be breakfast foods, but some protein that they will eat. Eggs, a good source of sausage or bacon that doesn't have nitrates is always a good thing. And making sure that the kids are getting enough protein, decreasing sugar is a great thing. And then, obviously, those key nutrients, I think we all need to supplement probably with a good whole food multiple and maybe some fish oil too.
Yeah. Just one thing that I wanted to mention is that sleep is so important as well. I'm constantly amazed at how little sleep kids get. Like, I don't know what I was thinking. I just thought, parents make kids go to bed. But I don't think that's the case from what I'm hearing from my teenager. So, kids still need sleep, a lot of sleep. So, and that's where we regenerate. And yeah, I've just seen a big difference when they get enough sleep versus when they don't. So,
yeah, that's when we repair. So that's definitely something. Yeah, but anyway, I think there's a lot to this subject. I just wanted to, we just wanted to kind of get parents awareness that, there is a different thought besides the germ theory, and that is the train theory, and that is taking care of the organism, making it as healthy as possible, because we are able to stay healthy doing some of the things that we talked about. And it's fairly, inexpensive and doesn't take a ton of effort. It's just a little bit of awareness, I think. So I know we do have another episode where we talked about vaccines and where we dove a little bit deeper about specifics about vaccines, which we can link that episode here. But if you have any questions, as always, we'd love to answer your questions. If you have comments, please reach out to us at hello@cornerstoneintegrativehealing.com. We'd love to just chat with you. But Kari, did you have anything else that you?
No, yeah. I think this is a conversation that needs to be had more. So if you have specific things you want us to cover, we will try to do that. It's a sensitive conversation though, of course, as you know, but we're willing to have those conversations with you, of course, off the podcast. But if you have, anything that you'd like us to discuss more, we'd love to hear from you. And yeah, we're willing to go there because we think it's important. So thanks for joining us. We'll see you on the next one.